but I saw something. I believe it was from Axis the other day, where for me, it was completely off on the schedule. He said something about another 200 days till we reach the top of where Hex was, but that only puts it at 3 years. So I'm, I'm going to have to talk to him and see where he's coming up with that number. Because in the last cycle, Hex obviously was a very delayed move after everything
Right.
pretty much had happened. It was one of the very last. To have that spot in only 200 days from now puts it into 2024 and not 2025, which is where, obviously we think the end of the cycle will fall, at least the top for a lot of things anyway. So, yeah, it was just really weird how we have a 4-year cycle, but there were a lot of people claiming that Hex would only have 3 years. So
Yeah.
need to dig a little deeper into that one, and when I can get some more information, I'll talk about it in more detail. But we always know Richard likes to have the spotlight on him, so I think that's one of the reasons why Hex was one of the last ones to run. And also we got the 50 weeks shakeout. What if that gets delayed a little bit too? What if
There's already been people talking about that. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
because we're 8 weeks away, or just, and we were going to get into that even further, but people just kind of beat these old quotes into the ground and take it as 100% pure gospel programmed in.
right.
And yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, could
Go that way.
totally see that as well, where it could be delayed by 6 weeks just to really shake them out, because at that point when they think, all right, here we go, 50 weeks are up, it's time to take off, and nothing.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
because that's
mean?
what the market thinks now.
Yep,
Exactly.
exactly. And I think that would honestly be a smarter play anyway, for it to do absolutely nothing for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't mind holding. I'm perfectly fine holding and not worrying about the prices too much at this point. Obviously, we want to see them go up, but when the market's this heavy and there's still a lot of holders in there that probably shouldn't be, I can see it from their actions and words. Instead of propping people up, they're just constantly tearing others down. So I can tell that we're still not quite ready, not ready to make those type of moves yet.
Well, I said the quote to you, and I think it's from like Shaun of the Dead or something, but the movie where they have just a quote about like let's just go to the pub and have a pint while this all blows over. I mean, that's basically where it feels like we're at right now. Like
Yeah,
this is a bull market pullback. It isn't pleasant, but it's not the bear market. It's going to be shorter lived. And it's kind of just like, all right, time to not ignore things. I mean, we're still here doing our show and everything, but let's not get wrapped up in some of this bullshit drama where people are just absolutely losing their minds all
yeah,
over Twitter about things that are going on right now,
yeah.
which is purely just because prices of things are down. So before we get specifically into that, let's look at the prices of the PulseChain ecosystem here. So we've had a big dip and a pullback. And this is another one of those things where you can label it, and we're seeing this on Twitter. People are labeling what the reasoning is for the pullback. But when I first was writing these notes, I wrote that the pullback ensued days after the RH Hex Classic or eHex tweets saying the market has chosen Hex, blah, blah, blah. But really, I mean, shortly after that, again, we may have front run it with PulseChain, but the whole market's been tanking. So we've seen our ecosystem come down. Now, that was, and we talked about it last week. I mean, we saw Hex sell off. I'm not saying just eHex. We saw Hex in general, both Hexes sell off.
Yeah.
And I know some people out there want to pretend that isn't happening or whatever, but that's what we saw, and more money rotated into PulseChain, PulseX, Inc., whatever else. But either way, then the whole ecosystem comes down, and you can assign it to the Richard's tweets or whatever, but also, like I just said, the whole market's coming down.
Right.
So, just looking at the prices quick. We got Pulse it's coming closer down to sack rate. We're at 30.1125 now, so a bit over sack rate. Pulse X back down to 50% below the sack rate. We have incentive at 558 right now. and combine hex the whole way down to what 1.5 cents, 1.6 cents, or something like that, which is pretty much the lows of the 2022 bear market in December. So yeah, that's where we are. Maybe I shouldn't be I'm sorry, shouldn't have done that. 1.24 cents for hex, and a quarter of a penny basically for hex, hex classic, whatever anybody wants to call it. So